The night was ordinary until it wasn't. The kind of night where the hum of passing cars blended with a whisper of wind through trees, where a father walked home with tired eyes but a steady heart. But then, in a blink, everything shattered. A scream tore through the quiet, desperate and sharp, followed by the chilling sight of two men forcing a woman into the back seat of a dark sedan. And in that frozen instant, he knew he couldn't just keep walking. If you believe in kindness, in bravery, in second chances, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Hopeful Stories, where courage and humanity remind us of the light in this world. The man's name was Daniel, a 34-year-old single father trying to piece together a life for himself and his little daughter, Emily. Life hadn't been fair to him. His wife had passed away suddenly 3 years ago, leaving him shattered, his days weighed down by grief and the crushing responsibility of raising a child alone. But if Emily had taught him anything, it was that sometimes the smallest hearts carried the greatest strength. For her, he kept going. That evening, Daniel had left Emily with his neighbor so he could walk home from his late shift at the auto shop. His boots hit the cracked pavement, his mind half lost in worries about bills and school fees. But when he heard that scream, every worry was silenced by instinct. On the far side of the street, under the flickering glow of a broken street lamp, he saw her, a woman, maybe in her late 20s, struggling against two men who towered over her. Her face was pale with fear, her hands clawing at the air as they shoved her into the car. The look in her eyes wasn't just fear. It was desperation, a silent plea for someone, anyone, to help. Daniel's heart pounded in his chest. His first thought was Emily. If something like this ever happened to her, wouldn't he pray for someone to be brave enough to intervene? That thought burned away his hesitation. He didn't think. He didn't plan. He just ran. The men were caught off guard as Daniel barreled across the street, throwing himself at them with the kind of force born not of strength, but of pure determination. His fists swung wildly, landing against one man's jaw, then the other's ribs. Pain shot through his knuckles, but adrenaline drowned it out. The woman managed to stumble free, scrambling onto the sidewalk, gasping for breath. One of the men shoved Daniel hard, sending him crashing against the car hood. For a moment, the world spun. His lungs burned, his body ached, but he forced himself up again. He wasn't fighting for himself. He was fighting for her. The second man lunged, but Daniel twisted, grabbing his jacket and dragging him down with all his weight. The fight was brutal, messy, nothing like the clean battle seen in movies. He was outnumbered, outmatched, but something inside him, maybe the memory of his wife's last words, maybe the thought of Emily waiting for him at home, pushed him to keep fighting. A horn blared suddenly as another car turned into the street. The attackers, realizing they were exposed, shoved Daniel one last time and sprinted into the night, disappearing between alleyways. Daniel collapsed against the curb, his chest heaving, his hands trembling with shock and pain. The woman, tears streaking her face, crawled toward him. You saved me," she whispered, her voice shaking. Daniel wanted to answer, but words failed him. He just nodded, clutching his side where one of the blows had landed hard. In that moment, it wasn't about heroism. It was about humanity, choosing to do what was right, even when it was terrifying. The police came quickly after neighbors called. Statements were taken, questions asked, and though Daniel's body throbbed with bruises, he stood tall. The woman's name was Lily, a young teacher who had been walking home after grading late at school. The men had grabbed her near the corner store. She kept repeating how she thought no one would come, how she thought that night would be her last. Daniel didn't see himself as a hero. He was just a father, a mechanic, a man trying to survive. But to Lily, he was the miracle she never expected. Days turned into weeks. Emily would sit by his side as he healed, carefully placing her little drawings on his nightstand to make Daddy better. The bruises faded, but something else grew in their place, a bond with Lily. She visited often, bringing meals, offering gratitude that went deeper than words. Emily took to her quickly, her laughter filling the house whenever Lily came around. For the first time in years, Daniel felt something stir inside him that he thought had died with his wife. Hope. It terrified him, yet warmed him, too. But with hope came fear. He questioned himself late at night, staring at the ceiling while Emily slept. Could he open his heart again? Was he capable of moving forward without betraying the love he'd lost? And what if danger came back? What if the men who escaped weren't finished? These doubts clawed at him relentlessly. Lily, too, carried scars. Though safe now, nightmares haunted her. She'd wake in the middle of the night sweating, her body trembling from the memory of being dragged toward that car. But she found comfort in Daniel and Emily. In their small family dinners, in Emily's innocent hugs, in Daniel's quiet strength. Slowly, the fear loosened its grip, replaced by something gentler, trust. Then came the night that tested everything. Daniel was walking home again when he noticed a shadow trailing him near the corner store. His muscles tensed, his breath sharp. When the figure stepped into the light, his worst fear surfaced. It was one of the men from that night. The man sneered, muttering something about unfinished business. Before Daniel could react, the stranger lunged. This time, Daniel was ready. He fought with every ounce of strength he had, not for himself, but for Emily, for Lily, for the fragile hope he had just begun to build. A passing officer, alerted by the commotion, rushed over, and within moments, the man was pinned to the ground and arrested. At the station, Daniel learned the suspects had been wanted for multiple assaults in the area. Thanks to his bravery, one was now behind bars, and the other was being hunted. Relief washed over him, but more than that, pride. He had faced the darkness twice and refused to let it win. Weeks later, as spring painted the town in soft colors, Daniel, Emily, and Lily sat together in the park. Emily's laughter echoed as she ran through the grass, chasing a butterfly. Daniel watched her, his heart swelling. Lily sat beside him, her hand brushing his. For the first time in a long time, silence felt peaceful instead of heavy. Daniel realized then that life had brought him full circle. Pain had once defined him, but kindness, his own and that of those around him, had carried him forward. He wasn't just a survivor. He was living proof that courage, even from the most ordinary of people, could change the course of someone else's life. And as Lily leaned her head gently against his shoulder, Daniel knew his heart was healing. Slowly, steadily, but surely. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Hopeful Stories. Every story here is a reminder that even in the darkest of times, light still exists through human kindness. Before we end, tell me in the comments, would you have run to help if you were Daniel? Because sometimes it only takes one brave choice to save a life.